the real agenda of educating black children.
He didn't get stuck in doing all this stuff that he's showing you.
They not like us.
He has a business manager, and he has to make sure that his business manager is being honest when it comes to his money.
They not like us.
He has to have some level of education. It's not enough. It's not enough for there to be 1 month for Black History.
Did you know that Black History Month was originally just a week? Dr. Carter G. Woodson, known as the father of Black history, started the first Negro History Week in 1926. It grew into Black History Month starting in 1976. I'm Carlton T. Clay, and we are honoring Black history because Black history is America's history.
Black history should be every day you have history. I don't care what heritage or ethnicity you are. Every day. Every day is European history. Well, they didn't build this country in particular without Black history. So let's tell the truth. Let's give us a full picture of what things looked like and how things were done. But if we tell our children, if they, powers that be, tell our children, without your ancestors, this country wouldn't exist. Your ancestors invented loads more than just the cotton gin. If we tell them the true history, if they are taught their true history, that would make them too strong, and that would threaten the powers that be.
Too black, too strong.
Because we are the ones who figured out how to move limestone and build a pyramid. We are the ones who performed the first brain surgery at a time when they didn't have antiseptics or numbing powder, for that matter. Anesthesia, that's the word I was looking for. If we told them that you ruled a land for so long, it was considered a golden age long before Elizabeth I. Or, not Elizabeth, Henry's daughter. The redhead. Yeah, Queen Elizabeth. Queen Elizabeth, yeah. If we told them that, if we told them about the different, and showed them the different things that we have created, they would feel unstoppable. They would feel that they could do anything, and they wouldn't just feel it on the surface. They would know it in their hearts that, hey, I've descended from all of these other people who did more than what we're allowed to know. We'd take over. They'd take over. You couldn't tell them. You wouldn't be able to gaslight them into believing that they don't matter. So I go back to the agenda for educating Black children is to educate them on the wrong things.
We have to change our mind about ourselves.
myself. I believe in myself. I deserve love. I deserve love. I deserve respect. I deserve respect.
First of all, I'm very gratified to be part of listening to your response to the question of the real agenda in educating black children, especially since you have such a great depth of knowledge in responding to this question from multivariate lenses. The first question, you mentioned Dr. Watson, and you and I over the decades have had conversations ad nauseum about the type of leadership we've had in this district, and we have to admit now we probably don't have anything anywhere close to that. However, we don't want to throw all the folks we have in our buildings, especially in Detroit Public Schools, under the bus. So the question is, what resources does the community here in a place like Detroit have at their disposal to ensure that they have strong leaderships in the buildings? Because some research has shown of all the factors regarding student achievement, a hidden factor is leadership in a building, which provides a structure for any academic achievement.
Okay, I'll answer that as concisely as I can, because it's a different time and era. Yes, the leadership at the top is always key. Resources to have, well, there are a few left. There are a few principals who are actually worth their salt being called principals. But with the current status of DPSCD Community District, Detroit Public Schools Community District, they don't want principals. Principals are usually somebody who came up through the ranks of education. Now they have managers. And so they're implementing managers. I don't know if you remember Ironetta Wright, who came up with Dr. Vitti.
Of course, from Jacksonville.
Yes, from Jacksonville, Florida. It seemed like her, get every black man that's strong, cut him off by the balls. And so her job was to see to get rid of all these. Because again, the model of having access to strong males, especially for our brothers, and even for our sisters. So sisters, you need to be able to choose a good brother and male.
And that's what I was kind of talking about in the previous edition of our show. So another level to this is, who are the people running the building? We have the oath takers running the building. The leadership in many of our schools is a sorority and fraternity driven culture. If you're in certain oath-taking groups, you will have access to opportunities to lead. So we must ask, as a black people, as Africans here in Detroit, how is this benefiting our young people? Regarding the sororitization or fraternization from the top down in terms of the structure. And so that's, she, like a lot of folks, are part of it too. But go ahead, Bob.
Well, to anybody's perspective, leadership is key.
Somewhere else now.
Well, I mean, the thing, what she was about, and I mentioned names because I want my viewers, if they hear it, to be able to do their own research.
All right.
In fact, it might be your cousin. Like I told you before, I mean, if we did a fight back, a civil war, half the people in our families could be on the other side, pulling for the other side of their perspective because they're compatible. But anyway, men like Dr. Watson, Harvey Hambrick, I hear that James Hurd, who took Harvey Hambrick's place at Marcus Garvey, I hear he just got his PhD. And so what he's going to be able to do with it and use it, that's going to be a whole thing.
Our whole goal is to empower our kids. That's the whole goal, number one. Hands down, because our kids will walk in here. When our kids come in, you see that young man come in? When he goes through the Garvey system, he will come out as a leader, a community leader, bottom line. Empowering him by, first of all, making sure that he knows who he is. His whole culture, his roots, pride in himself. Because the difference with our kids is these guys don't know who they are. They have no idea. They think, when you talk to them, they believe that they began in slavery, that black people came here for slaves. They don't know that they're descendants of kings and queens. So what the Garvey program, as you notice the red, the black, and the green, the kid comes into the green section. That's the primary unit. And at that point in time, we started getting them culturally aware, identities, responsibilities. Then they go from the green to the red section, and then from the red, from that point in red, then that's your third, fourth, five. Then they have more leadership responsibility, and those guys now teach them more about the history of our people. Then when they get into the black section, by that time they should already know more about their people, more about themselves, empowering themselves, and then actually taking the community on as far as leaders. So these guys, when they come to a Garvey system, you see a Garvey kid, you know a Garvey kid. Because the Garvey kid is proud of themselves. They're proud of being African American.
A whole other story, but at the same time, I remember how important it was to have Dr. Watson, because here's the thing. They're going to attack you as a teacher. You know, your parents can get quite stupid with you at a moment's notice. They can be at your door, act about climb. Well, some principals are really scared of parents. And they'll hem and haw and say what you're supposed to do and what you didn't do. Could you just, just placate the parents' need, just get their collar A and let it go about his business. Well, to have somebody like Dr. Watson, who would just say, for one thing, you don't deal with my teachers.
Yes.
I deal with my teachers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you don't go bum me. You bum rush my teachers, you're in violation of me.
Right.
Okay? And I'm going to put a stop to that. In fact, I'll pack you, your child, and your child's homework for the next 400 years and ship it on out of here. He didn't play that. And as a worker, as a teacher, to know that you have somebody in the office, the administrative office, who got your back, gave you the incentive to be strong yourself. So you can't be strong in that school all by yourself.
That's right.
You can't be the man. You can't be, Woods can't be the man in the educational field and the strong, because, I know my right, this teacher, this parent is not going to force me to do right. The child did wrong, I will put it on suspension or whatever. You can't change my mind about it. To have a principal to back you up.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So that way, even the parents, though, because the thing about that parent, other parents of other students are watching.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And if I can get, you the heel toe for your parent, now I'll tell my mom.
Yeah,
or tell my dad, so you have that.
And that adds to the immense amount of stress that you already have as an educator in an urban environment. When you got somebody that's got your back, then all you got to do is be accountable to them. In other words, whether it's with a parent or a kid or somebody in the community, if you get it wrong, hey, I can pull you to the side. Or we can go in the office and have a discussion about that. I'm not going to put you on blast and embarrass you in front of them, because that lowers your credibility and lowers my credibility. You mentioned Mr. Hambrick. And that's a type of, and I'm not saying we can bring the 80s back, I get it, but that's the type of leadership that we had in those. I was sub, I think he was at King Elementary School off of McNichols. And sometimes his wife, who became head of the counseling division, Miss Austerine Hambrick, would send us to him. And what this man was doing was building, he would have the kids, when they got out of line, he'd get his pal. And he would make sure that they understood the Board of Education. And it worked, because there was order in that building. When you were in that building as a sub, you weren't predisposed to whatever mood the child was in that day or what
class was in that day.
Yeah, there was structure.
Because, back when I used to be a sub before I became a full-time teacher, and I used to say the thing about it is when they say they got a sub today, they look at it like a Subway sandwich. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take a bite out of this guy when he comes in. I'm going to take a bite out of this girl when I'm going to treat you like a Subway sandwich. But again, getting back to the idea of how important it is for strong black men to be, or strong black women. Don't leave. I don't want to just make it's a gender thing. They say sisters can't raise black men. I grew up in a time when your mama, I don't care if dad was home or not, when your mama say come here, when your mama say curfew at street lights, see, when your mama said it, she had the wherewithal to back it up. But research done in fact at Moynihan, for those of you who really need to go ahead and look at that particularly, how, regardless of what they did to the black family.
Moynihan, as early 1964, is writing memoranda about the need to do something special for poor black people, as opposed to all poor people.
I felt that the great crises having to do with the protection of the liberties of Negro Americans in the South were probably coming to an end. It seemed to me that we would now turn to the problems of the northern ghettos, the northern slums, where just passing a law wasn't going to change things, where problems were much more difficult.
Moynihan's interest in urban black poverty was triggered in part by a study he had led a year earlier. Eager to boost its ranks during the Cold War, the military was concerned that too many men were failing their exams. What Moynihan found was that many of them came from single-parent homes, and a disproportionate number were impoverished black men.
Moynihan sat down to write his report on the black family, which was titled The Negro Family, the Case for National Action, on January 1st, or thereabouts, 1965, and with the help of Paul Barton, the chief aide, finished it in the remarkably quick time of a little more than 3 months.
That report began, the United States is facing a new crisis in race relations.
Teenage unemployment in the Negro world today is almost 25%. That is a social crime. That's an outrage.
He was one of the first scholars to integrate structural analysis, for example, the problems of urbanization, joblessness, Jim Crow segregation, and so on, and their effects on the black population, and cultural analysis. That is the way blacks respond to chronic racial and economic subordination. And sometimes the response is problematic.
The very start of his second chapter says, at the heart of the deterioration of the fabric of Negro society is the deterioration of the Negro family.
Moynihan immersed himself in a raft of statistics that convinced him impoverished black families were under enormous stress, their children deeply affected. By 1960, nearly 24% of these families were headed by single parents. This was some 8 times greater than the rate for white families.
How did you learn how to behave from your father and your mother and the people around you? Well, supposing there is no father, where children are just brought up without that support which a family gives them, then what do you end up with? You end up a cycle reproducing itself.
How were they still able to have raised solid black children? And so Daniel Packer Moynihan did a study, and he found out that one of the ways that they were still raising strong black boys was that women were able to do some real serious, tough love to their children. Not just the boys, not just the girls, but to their children. And to your children, to the children down the street. So we had that kind of thing going on.
Too black, too strong.
What can parents do in the spirit of supporting the school with regard to student achievement? What things can they do at home? What things can they do in partnering with the school community to make sure that their kids have the best opportunity possible?
The parents, you hit the whole conundrum of what it's all about. The parents represent or indicate the community. When parents say nay, and they say it in enough numbers, then it's nay. Parents can actually, they are really the stakeholders in the education system. I tell parents all the time, you all act like you're powerless. Well, you know, the law makes this and they make this. No, stop right there. If they're paying $10,000 a head for students on count day, you have 6 children in the system. That's $60,000 walking out of your house every day.
Tomorrow is count day at schools across Michigan. School attendance is crucial for districts to receive much needed funding. But tonight, some Detroit parents are threatening to keep their kids home tomorrow. 7 Action News reporter Camille Amiri joins us live in Detroit with what this is all about. Camille.
Well, Glenda, this is anything but typical. Parents are actually planning on keeping their kids out of the classroom, some of the parents, in hopes of sending a very strong message to the district. It's not a school, but tomorrow class is being held at the Central United Methodist Church in downtown Detroit.
We are estimating that we could have as many as 250 kids.
You see, tomorrow is count day. Each student in the Detroit public school system is counted, and that number determines a big chunk of the funding for Detroit public schools. So to send a message, parents and supporters are planning their own student sick-out.
So to keep getting counted, to keep getting money for the kids, where's it going? We have no clue of where's it going, so what are we really funding?
There has not been fiscal accountability. How are they spending the money? Where are they spending the money? And is it being spent in the interest of the children
So instead of kids just staying home tomorrow, some independent educators have organized a full day of classes starting at 8 a.m. at the Methodist Church. Organizers say they will be focusing on subjects that have fallen by the wayside in the district.
So art, music, and gym that was excluded from the curriculum, that's what we will be doing along with social studies. And we would be doing a Black History celebration.
Meanwhile, the district says a student sick out makes an already horrible situation worse. And in the midst of a financial crisis, every dollar counts. In Detroit, Camille Lemire, 7 Action News.
And you say you have no power? If you decide to be at home on count day, see, we can argue about the curriculum, we can argue about things. When it comes down to it, it's about that money. Districts need money. Superintendents, ours making $500,000 for nothing, whatever. I call them superintendents, by the way. Parents can put a stop to it, but parents are so scared now. These are not our mama's parents. These are not your grandmother's parents. These young parents have no clue their power other than trying to compete with one another. Searching for baby daddy, trying to get some child support. Okay? But if they rallied at a school, because remember, that's what we used to do. Look at what's happening now with the Gaza-Palestinian thing. Where's most of the action? At the schools.
University.
They're at the university. The students and the parents are the ones putting the heat on this situation. So if the parents,